This morning the Fed's preferred inflation measure dropped. Core PCE. The number the Federal Reserve actually uses when deciding whether to raise or cut rates. The result: Core PCE 3.3%, up from 3.2% in March. Moving up. And here is why every working professional should care. This is the third inflation gauge in 3 weeks to confirm the same trend. Inflation is not stabilizing. Inflation is accelerating. And the Fed just lost its remaining moves. This is your briefing. 3 weeks. 3 inflation gauges. All moving the wrong way. 2 weeks ago, CPI 3.8%. Highest reading in 3 years. Last week, PPI 6.0%. Highest reading in 3 years. Monthly jump of 1.4%, the biggest since March 2022. This morning, core PCE 3.3%. Up from 3.2%. And here is the part that matters most. The Fed's target inflation rate is 2.0%. Core PCE is now 165 basis points above target. Not slightly above target. Far above target. And rising. That changes the entire monetary policy equation. Here is what the inflation triple tells you about the Federal Reserve's next moves. Rate cuts are mathematically off the table. The Fed cannot cut rates when its preferred inflation measure is rising. That option is gone for the rest of 2026. Possibly longer. Rate hikes are increasingly on the table. 4 FOMC dissents at the last meeting, the highest number of dissents since 1992. Hawkish governors are publicly arguing for tighter policy. Ken Griffin from Citadel said last week, and I quote, "There is always a risk of rate hikes when inflation has gone above target and the labor markets are strong." That was Wall Street's most powerful AA skeptic signaling what the Fed may have to do. And the labor market context. Unemployment at 4.3%. Still firm. Wage growth at 3.5%. Real wages declining as inflation runs faster. The Fed has no easy path forward. Cutting raises inflation. Hiking risks recession. Holding does not solve the problem. This is the textbook definition of stagflation conditions. And we are not at the worst of it yet. 3 inflation gauges moving up means 3 things for working professionals. 1. Your purchasing power is declining. If inflation is running at 3.3% core, and your wages are growing at 3%, you are getting poorer in real terms. Even with a raise. Even if your base salary went up. The math is decisive. 2. Mortgage rates stay elevated. Credit card rates stay punishing. Housing remains structurally unaffordable. Because the Fed cannot cut. The Federal Reserve's hands are tied by the data they're seeing. 3. Your salary negotiation just became more important. If your raise this year doesn't beat the 3 to 4% inflation range, you took a real pay cut. That is not opinion. That is arithmetic. And the gap is widening every month. The inflation triple continues running hot. Move 1. Document your contributions specifically. Inflation conversations only work when you have evidence of value created. Vague requests for raises fail. Documented impact tied to inflation realities lands differently. If you don't already keep a running record of your contributions and outcomes, start now. Move 2. Negotiate using today's data. The inflation triple is your leverage. Here's the exact language. Inflation has run consistently above the Fed's target for the past 2 years. My current compensation hasn't kept pace. Here is what I am asking for, and here is the value I have generated that supports the increase. Move 3. Watch the Friday afternoon updates. The Fed's reaction to today's PCE data will come over the next 2 weeks. Fed speakers will be on television. The minutes from the next meeting will tell us how hawkish the conversation has become. The professionals who watch monetary policy closely see the rate hike signal 6 to 12 weeks before the rate hike actually happens. That window is your planning window. Use it. 3 inflation gauges. All rising. CPI at 3.8%. PPI at 6.0%. Core PCE at 3.3%. The Fed is out of moves. And the squeeze on working professionals is no longer cyclical. It is structural. The headlines will keep telling you the economy is fine. The numbers tell you something different. Plan accordingly. This is what the talent. The move is yours.